I was going through this match between Magnus and Fabiano, and this blew my mind. I don't know what kind of player Magnus is or where he is learning from, but the potential he has is so much and is unhuman. You call it inhuman, whatever you want to say, but this is not something usual we see. So in this moment, Magnus is playing white and Fabiano is black. In this match, Magnus played Rui Lopez opening, and this was the position they achieved after 15 moves. After this, Fabiano went with his knight to h5. Now the plan is to come to f4 and attack the queen. And if you are playing white, what would you do? I cannot find the move what Magnus played. In this moment, Magnus literally sacrificed his knight and said, take my knight for free. Of course, he's not giving it for free. He's attacking with his bishop and his knight to the weakest pawn on the black's army, f7, which is only protected by the king. And now he says, if you're going to take my knight, I'm going to take your knight. And now I am attacking the f7 again. So Fabiano is not capturing at g5. He says, all right, I'm still attacking your queen. What do you have? And now if I'm playing there, I would always in this situation choose to move my queen. And hopefully you also will do the same. But we are not the same, bro. Magnus is a different species altogether. Magnus chose and take at f7. And if you're thinking, no, black will take the queen and white will simply take the queen. If you take my knight, I will take your knight. What is the problem here? But no, this comes with a check. And Magnus would be forced to move his king. And then Fabiano will bring his queen to safety, basically getting a queen down for a knight. Oh my god. And I move forward. My curiosity increased. Did Magnus blunder? And he went back. Fabiano took the queen. Rook takes e2. And now his queen is hanging. Fabiano's queen is hanging. He has to move his queen. He moved his queen to f6, giving up the rook. So Magnus took the rook. Now this is a check. He is not going for capture. Because it's a check, he has to move his king. So king moves. And after the king moved, Magnus went on to capture the knight. And after the capture of the knight, thus settles out. And you can see that black's queen is still sitting there. Has 4 pieces on the board, while Fabiano has 2 minor pieces and a queen. So basically he's a piece up if you count queen as a 3 piece. And now what happened is very much more interesting because he plays c3. I was thinking that there must be some compensation that Magnus was looking for, but he simply plays c3 and gives an opportunity to Fabiano to stable the match. And he played c4. He attacked the bishop. So pawn takes, and now this is being attacked. This rook is also attacking this. Now bishop goes on and attacks the queen. He is always thinking for the counter attack, but isn't this pawn hanging? Yes, it is hanging, but he has to first deal with the pressure of the bishop on the queen. So queen to g6. Queen moved out, saying let's play with the minor pieces. Let's exchange all the pieces. I will have the queen and I will win. No, Magnus said. The moment he took his queen, he pinned this king. So now the bishop can capture it. Still Magnus is not looking at it, and Magnus went on to capture the pawn on c4. Fabiano said, alright, I'm going to destroy you and play for the checkmate. Alright, he's going for the mate. And now knight comes back defending the g2. And now the bishop can stay there because still this pawn cannot capture. So bishop to e6. Bishop goes back. Bishop says, I'm not staying there because this will be a dangerous position. Bishop goes back and forces some exchange if possible. So b4. Now the 2 pawns are rolling down with this rook standing tall, guarding the a file. These 2 pawns are going with the b and c file and wants to move forward and attack this rook somehow so that he can get a piece back. And now rook comes to d8. Rook settles out. He says, if you can pull this up, I am going to come down and exchange some pieces. Why? Why is he going rook to d1? This is again blowing my mind. Why is he doing this? This is why I prefer Magnus matches, because as a chess player, as a chess fan, his matches are out of the book and it always happens something that you will find new. He's already a piece down. He's already having two minor pieces for a queen, and is still exchanging his one of the bulldozer pieces, the rook. So exchange happened. Bishop already comes to a passive state. Now the opponent has a bishop and a queen. But the thing is, Magnus likes rook and knight combos. He wants, if he has the rook and the knight combos, is very comfortable that he will get some counter attack in the end, and he will force a draw at least. So h5, rook comes in the center. h4, now the pawn is going down, 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 wants to force this pawn and attack here. He played e2, bishop to e2, and now he's not going for the pawn again. He wants to pin this knight here because he cannot move it, the rook will fall. All right. Again, the counter-attacking strategies are going from the both sides. But what does Magnus want to achieve from here? Because he again goes for the exchange of the bishop. So bishop is exchanged. Now he's had two pieces for the queen. If I have a queen against two pieces, I'm sure that I'm going to win this match. If something happens, I will have a draw, at least at the end. But no, it is Magnus. Magnus went for the win from here on. How? He played h3, attacking the pawn here. Now again the knight has come back guarding g2, and after this is still not taking the pawn. Oh my god, he is still not taking the pawn with the knight. He's going to attack the other pawn. Queen moves to h4 and attacking your pawn. He went on to take the pawn, attacks the queen. Queen goes to e4. Now the situation is something very, very interesting. White has three pawns, but the problem is everything is going to be protected. This pawn is protecting here. This is very well protected. This rook, if he captures, he will be able to safeguard the c pawn. The problem is queen is not hunting anything at the moment. So he takes the pawn and safeguard the c3. Queen moves to d3. What does he want to achieve here? Okay, he wants to roll down his e pawn. Knight comes a little to the center, increasing its color complex to e3. Now the king moves to g6. It is going to be very interesting. Let's see if Fabiano can get a perpetual from here, because no way you can stop these two bad boys going down and make a queen of himself without sacrificing anything, and black do not have anything to sacrifice instead of queen. And these two pawns are not going anywhere because these are blocked by the king and the pawns. So there is nothing black can force a mate here. So rook comes, rook attacks the pawn. King comes in the center. Can he take this pawn? No, because this will drop. He waits. No. Ho, ho, ho. He is still not waiting for it. He went for it. He took it because of the check. And now when the king moves, he still is not allowing the capture here. He is going for a check. King moves again to e4. Now the king has been hunted down to other file of the white. And now he quietly played c4. Because now you cannot capture him. Now you cannot capture. And you cannot capture here because of this knight. Queen b1 comes, check. King moves up, the pawn falls. Alright, white has a two pawn here. Black has one pawn. If Magnus is able to take that pawn, then everything remains on this pawn. And if queen takes this, this would be rook and a knight versus queen, and that is a theoretical draw. But remember that white will have this pawn in the center, and this is going to be tough for Fabiano. This is the 42nd move, and again a check. King moves, rook comes, attacks the pawn, check. Knight goes, blocks the attack of the queen. Now this is not hanging because of the rook. Everything is protected at the moment. King to e2, going down. Maybe Fabiano is thinking, maybe at the lower time control he will come down and maybe try to attack this pawn here, or maybe from this side. I don't know what is happening. So he again gives a check. Rook moves to e4 plus, king moves up, and pawn protects the rook. Again everything is protected. I don't know how his pieces, Magnus's pieces, fall down at the correct places at the correct time. And now a check. King goes up. Now queen to b1. Check comes. King moves out. Knight goes up. Check. King moves up. This is really going to be interesting. Queen to g6. Now king. Now the other side of the king going to the other side of the board. Oh my god. Everything is protected. Knight is protected. The rook is protected. The pawn is not protected. Let's see how Fabiano can attack this pawn. King moves to the other side. Now the pawn follows up. A check. Follows a check. Attacks this pawn. What does Magnus do? Magnus moves in. Moves to d6. Now this king is 3 steps away from queening. And if Magnus gets a queen, there is no way Fabiano going to save this match. So queen takes at f3. And now, instead of pushing the pawn, because he cannot push the pawn, because the rook will fall, he first safeguards the rook. Now this king is acting like a safeguard for all its pieces. He's saving everything in the position. This cannot push because he will simply capture. Now check. Rook comes in as a shield. Another check. Pawn goes in as a shield. Now 2 steps away from queening. Now g5. Can he capture? Now he decides not to capture with this knight, because this pawn comes up. This will be guarding. So he decides to take it with the rook. King goes in. He wants to make some counter play. Maybe attack with king and the queen and somehow get this pawn, because this pawn is getting out of control and being too dangerous. c5 attacks the king. King moves in. And now the knight is attacking the queen. Oh. The king moves. The king moves. Why isn't he capturing this? Why isn't he capturing this? So knight has come attacking the queen. King moved down. Oh my god, Magnus missed this. Magnus missed the capture of the queen being in low time control. Oh my god, knight moved to d5. Now the king moves out of the picture. b2. Oh, king follows, king to d7. And a check. King moves back. Are we repeating pieces? No. The rook to c3. Rook, king again moves. Check. King goes down. Again a check. Rook comes. Knight pawn is going to be pushed and queen to g3. There is no way now that Fabiano is going to stop it. And now after king to c5, there is nothing and Fabiano resigned. So this was really interesting. Magnus has sacrificed his queen and then put so much pressure on Fabiano. Instead being having a queen, he was not able to win. So these kind of matches, these kind of analysis would help you get a better player. If you like this, do share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to learn genuinely from analysis of these videos through every classical opportunity from basic to the higher level, if you want to be a serious player, go to the description. You will find a link of Vishal Chess School. Go there, subscribe to it, and I will see you in the group. See ya. Bye.